Thank you all for coming. I'm going to call the meeting to order. And I'm glad to see all of you here. And let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gonna call the roll. Mr. Green,
Here.
Mr. Primer, Meredith,
Here.
Niffy,
Here.
and I'm here. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? No?
Yes,
All right.
I would like to have a bit of, in light of the executive committee, small transparency discussion.
There is a.
It's already on there.
Discussion on there.
That's why I say I want to have that in there. It's part of it.
It's on there.
It's a slightly different heading. I want to talk about transparency in relation to the executive committee.
Okay, can I add transparency to that item?
Sure.
Okay.
And then I want to discuss the legal expenses.
That would have to be an executive session.
I don't believe so.
I think so.
No, executive sessions would be for HEPA rules, which help
No, legal.
people's health records and the contracts. Where you don't want to divulge competing contracts.
There are several reasons for, there are several opportunities for executive sessions that are outlined by law in Title 32 for the SDA. The dollar amounts that are spent on legal expenses are a public record.
Okay, then there should be no problem with me asking that.
It's conferences. Okay.
All right.
Matters required
can
to be
we add
kept
that?
confidential.
Say
No,
again?
you're saying it doesn't need to be?
The dollar amounts
Dollar
that are
amount.
spent on legal expenses are a public record. It
Okay.
does not need to be in an executive session.
So,
And I will reiterate, the dollar amounts.
I'm not positive that your rules are correct.
Okay. I yield, yeah.
But I'm not positive you're correct on your rules.
Okay, the executive sessions do have a number, not just two things. There are a number of things. One is personnel, one is a meeting with a lawyer. But that's not needed to be an executive session, so we will add it to the agenda. Okay,
monetary amount.
and what number are we gonna put
I
that
guess
on?
it will be what,
New business 3.5.4.
5.4?
And then in the end, I have one personal matter that I don't want to divulge right now. It's personal, dear to my heart. And I'd like to discuss that and I'll bring it up at the end.
But it has to be on the
You
agenda.
have to put it on the agenda.
Personal matters, Steve Green.
Okay, is that under new business?
I would move that we not add that to the agenda.
You're welcome to talk about a personal issue if you wish, but it shouldn't be an agenda item.
Well, it's not an agenda item then.
Public comment.
Yeah, public comment.
Can be
Okay.
public
I
comment.
told I'm not allowed to do public commentary. I told that at every meeting, this is a public comment, not a time for the board to speak. So that's fine, I'll bring it up with public comments if you allow.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
I would suggest if something were to come up in public comment that a board member wanted to speak on, they would need to leave their seat on the board and go to the gallery.
Terry.
There's always one.
Okay, so Steve, you're gonna put that under public comment
Where is the public comment?
at the bottom,
Okay.
6.
okay.
Okay, is that all?
That's
Okay, thank you. Are there any conflict of interest of the board related to any of the agenda items? No. 2.1 is approval of the April 25th, 2024 meeting minutes. Looking for a motion. They have been circulated.
I move to approve the minutes.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Nay.
Point of order, you were not present at that meeting. You cannot vote on those minutes.
Oh, I can't.
Well, they read them. Okay. All right, we'll go right into the treasurer's report. That's Niffy.
Okay, treasurer's report, again, I've adopted not reading to you something that's posted online. There is, if you're looking at the budget versus actual, there is something that appears to be a discrepancy, and that is our LoSAP payments. So it's not the LoSAP, the FPPA payments. We hold in escrow, basically, all of the chief's payments, and then we make our payments as a district as on a monthly basis. So it appears as if we're like way overspent, but it will reconcile to the amount that at the end of the year that we have budgeted for that line item. Highlights, we're doing well against our budget versus actuals. We have received another 30,000 from the treasurer, and our total financial position remains strong in the district, $423,000.
Okay.
That's my treasurer's report.
The treasurer's report is on the website. Does anybody have a question? I'll move on to the chief's report, please.
Okay. So the first thing, we were hoping to have the 3 agreements that are coming from Jefferson County to all the fire districts by this board meeting. And I spoke to emergency management and the fire management group on Monday, and it is still in their final tweaks with their legal review team. So while we were really hoping to have that this month, it will not be available until at the soonest the first week of June, at which point it'll be sent for board review for that, and then we'll have signature during the June board meeting, as long as they can get through their final little hurdles with that. I did attach a statement from Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, if anyone's interested, that was submitted to the public and to the fire districts earlier this month regarding evacuation procedures through the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office and how they're doing that. They had fielded a bunch of questions from the public regarding evacuations in the end of April, and it was kind of to address a bunch of those questions and to go out and said this is how Jefferson County plans to do evacuations, whether it be from wildland fire or from another all hazards event. Without going into detail on that document, it is on the website for you to be able to review. There are several bills on the state level that have an impact on the district. Several of them are listed in the chief's report. I'm not going to go bill by bill with them, but they have to do with volunteer inclusion in the firefighter cancer trust. There is a bill that had adjustments to residential assessment rates. Then both of those have passed. There are also bills regarding wildland fire, like large project mitigation allocation for rural communities that's on the House, or that's being voted on by the House in the next couple of weeks, I believe. And there are a few more regarding kind of special district fundings, as well as another one regarding volunteer wildland firefighters. So the ones that we're currently watching. Administration ESL implementation is nearing completion. We're scheduled to do our full system changeover on June 28th. So that's the day that we will turn off our current reporting system, which is emergency reporting, and move over platforms to ESO, which is emergency services organizations. And we will take that step. They'll turn off one, turn on the other. Everything will migrate over on June 28th. That's the current plan with them. The gym construction on Station 82 is almost complete. Firefighter McDaniel and all the firefighters have donated an incredible amount of time and effort and energy to put that whole thing together and implement it, put equipment together, refinish that whole gym or the whole room that it's going into. And it's really looking spectacular. Huge thank you to them for pushing that through to integrate fitness into our culture, where it's really an awesome thing, a good step for the firefighters and for the district. We have experienced our seasonal uptick in calls as expected. Starting last month, we have 32 calls to date. We had several significant motor vehicle accidents that occurred in the last several weeks. There was one even last night that some of you who live on the Douglas Mountain area may have seen, a car that went over the side into the trees on the backside of Douglas Mountain. That was quite a spectacular thing. There was nobody in the vehicle, but the one, you know, where you go down the hairpin turns, everyone kind of puckers a little bit. Somebody went over the side. So thankfully there was nobody injured in that. But there have been some other significant traffic injuries or traffic incidents in the canyon where we have had to temporarily close the canyon. Thank you for everyone who has been very patient waiting for us and cognizant for our firefighter safety when they're traveling past the accident scenes. We've had a lot of really good people, you know, waving and being really cognizant about everyone working in the canyon, and I really appreciate people being cognizant of that. Personnel, we currently have 23 operational members. We did bring one operational member back onto the roster after a leave of absence, who is a full-time firefighter with West Metro, who's now through his probationary year and is back online with Golden Gate. We have four support services members currently on the roster as well. The academy continues to progress very smoothly. The recruits have completed all the didactic portions and practical portions of the hazmat academy. They are now testing for their hazmat, state hazmat operations and awareness certifications. They're doing their physical testing this week, and their written testing, I believe, is next week. After they're done with their hazmat academy over these next 2 weeks, we'll be re-engaging with the final portions of the hands-on portions of the fire academy. And we anticipate having them fully graduated as a fully certified firefighter 1 with hazmat in September. So keep an eye out for that. That's when we're going to hopefully have a nice fun graduation for them. Firefighter Nick Meyer successfully graduated EMT school from Red Rocks and is now nationally registered and Colorado registered EMT. Congratulations to Nick. Probationary firefighter Chris Creech continues to progress towards his finishing of his EMT program with Denver Health and is also doing very well. Chief Enright and Brill both attended the first ever statewide hazmat summit 2 weeks ago. It was kind of the first of its kind meeting of all the hazmat responders in Colorado. Kind of talk about the state of what is hazmat. As you guys may know, we have some hazmat changes happening on the Front Range, which we've addressed in previous meetings regarding the Jefferson County and Adams County Hazmat Authority. That was a main topic of conversation about how that's going to look when we're all done. And also just really putting all of these people who are really into what is a really technical subspecialty of the fire service into one place and allowing them to really share their knowledge. It was a really cool event for them. All of our Golden Gate firefighters have passed their physical testing for the year and have had their red card renewed. Station 81, we continue to progress very quickly on that as we get towards the end here. The flooring is installed. The electrical and lighting updates for that station have been completed. We are in the final stages of trimming everything out and doing finish work. The only things that are left are the kitchen installation and the installation of AV components and placement of furniture. Another big thank you to all people who have helped us with that station. To date, there's been no one who's billed us to help work on that station. That includes plumbing, helping with flooring, helping with painting, helping with all kinds of specialty trades. Everyone has donated their time to help us get that station to where it needs to be. So a huge thank you to them. And it is quite literally a countless amount of hours that have gone into that station. It's really looking incredible. And our firefighters are super excited about it being done and being able to use it, and then also sharing it with the community. So we are planning to have an open house barbecue when we're done with the station to reopen the living quarters in the last week of June. And that is all I have in the chief's report. Any questions?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
It's great for the hazmat training. Do we have a lot of hazmat equipment in the stations?
So that's one of the reasons why there's a regional group for hazmat, is that we have enough for an initial response for hazmat, but hazmat is like high level hazmat, tech level hazmat response needs to be done on a regional level because it is so very specialized. The training that's required to respond to it is very high. The demand for maintaining that training are high. but the equipment that is required is also very expensive. And it's not used very frequently, so it's better to be stockpiled and managed on a regional level, or a county level than it is on a fire department, fire department level.
okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. So we have
We have enough to manage,
basic
like,
stuff.
yep, essentially initial fuel spills, things like that. But if we get into a large hazmat incident, let's say the incident that happened on I-70 last
Tanker
week.
truck?
Yeah, tanker truck. That requires a response from multiple specialty agencies to be able to handle an incident like
Isn't one of our firefighters totally hazmat
that.
certified?
We actually have several.
Several?
Yeah, we
Okay.
have, at this point, we have 3 firefighters that are hazmat techs,
Wow,
which is a very unique thing for small districts in general.
well, that's great.
For the reopening of the Station 81 barbecue, is that gonna be on the calendar or communicated out?
Yeah, we'll put it on social media, and we'll put it on the calendar as well. But that's, as of right now, we're very confident that we will be completed with that project at the end of June, and that will be open in the last week of June.
Okay, is there a need for like food or anything like that?
There will be,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
and we'll communicate that at the time and see how that looks, but yes, yeah.
I got some full freezers that and hunting
Any que-
season's around the corner, so.
We're excited. It is stuff, the inside of that station, you would never know it's the same fire station. It's awesome, so.
Any questions for the chief?
When you mentioned the end of the June, you're switching your platform over to your new UMS system. Do you have a contingency plan in the event something breaks or, because that's 4th of July kind of weekendish?
Yes, so the good thing is that they're actually they're under the same house, so they're actually under the same parent company, so they're already connected. So the good thing is if for some reason ESO was to have an issue, turning back on emergency reporting and going back to use emergency reporting would be one phone call, and it would be fixed. That's a good question, though.
Okay, community organization reports. Auxiliary, Dee Dee?
So Dee Dee Ranstetter for the auxiliary. We don't have anything really much going on. Our next meeting is June 6th here at 5. And we're ramping up for the pig roast in September. So if you want to know more about that, come here at 5 on June 6th and get involved with that.
What's the date of the pig roast?
The pig roast is September 14th.
Terry Grange?
Yeah, we just wrapped up our annual hydration event, 56 cases of water and Gatorade. The community once again stepped up for the firefighters, very grateful for the response. We also did our annual canyon cleanup last Sunday. And a lot of trash and debris. County Road and Bridge is amazing. They really help support this canyon. It's very nice to work with them. And I would like to report hardly any cigarette butts this year.
Amazing.
Less and less. And then also the beverage of choice is flavored vodka is no longer fireball. Yeah, it's
All shooters.
all shooters, but anyway, the health, thank you.
Somebody switched up.
Yeah.
Moving on, under old business, we have Station 83 drainage repair authorization. That's you, Kyle.
So that's a discussion, just a discussion item.
Discussion items.
So, we are looking at what's required to fix the continual issue that we have of flooding of Station 83. I have spoken to several professionals, about what's going to be required for us to look at the back, and essentially what it's going to come down to is us creating a concrete V-pan swale that will feed the back of, or the drainage in the back of that station. And essentially just looking for permission from the board or discussion from the board as far as that plan of moving forward with creating that drainage system in the back of the station and then moving forward to get bids. If there's any other questions from the board before we go forward with that.
What's the cost?
We don't have a cost yet because we haven't gone for. we haven't gone for-
Going out for bids.
Other side by the bathroom, what about the drainage going in there?
So what we've talked about is putting out essentially a curb that would extend from the entire back of the fire station that would go all the way around to the far side of the propane tank to divert anything from going and wrapping around where the bathroom is. That would direct all of the drainage back and down into the drainage culvert over there.
Why wouldn't you just lower the parking lot?
Lower the parking lot.
You got positive drainage away from the building.
I think that is also possible on the, you talking about away from the door.
Yeah.
That could be a solution as well, but I think realistically, just due to the volume of sediment that comes down through that area, it's probably a two-pronged approach to that to get both of them.
Yeah. Well, you wanna do a pan down to the drainage right there in front of the building into that catch basin.
On the taking on the front side?
Yep.
Just cutting it through the asphalt, you think?
Well, yeah, you wanna cut it way back and redo it and get it all drained in there, and then you eliminate the problem all the way.
Where does the drainage come from?
Yeah, where does the water
hill
come
up on
from?
the station, it sounds like that whole hill kind of over floods and comes over the retaining wall.
Okay. Can we do anything to change that hill?
Steve, is that's your property right above us, right? Is there any remedies?
Years ago and rejected it.
Well, it's years ago, it's now. Would you offer again?
Negotiations, that's before.
Would
I was
you,
gonna put up half the money in the fire station, but the fire department put up that. That was a long time ago.
okay, but now is now,
Sheila Carlin and Chief DeFeo were,
I remember.
and, I don't know who rejected what, but I couldn't talk to either one, neither would talk to me, so I ended up talking to, I think it was David Katz.
Okay,
And the engineer, they all recommended to do what I said.
okay. Do you have,
Recommended to do what I said, and I just said, okay, fine,
do you have a solution or an idea for a solution?
yes.
Would you share that with,
Yeah, you change the shape of the hill, and you add a culvert, and you make a flat area, which will benefit the station and me. And since nobody wanted it to benefit me at all, they just said no. But it would benefit me as well as the station.
I was there, I heard a whole discussion when they were doing it.
yeah, okay, that's in the past, guys, okay? Let's talk about
At
today.
that point in time, the
And you-
cost was going to be, I was gonna put in approximately, I was gonna buy 2 culverts, they're about $1,200 each. And at that point in time, the estimate I was given was $2,500 for the dirt work, but I don't think that would stand it for, but I don't know.
Would you be willing to talk about it? Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
So Steve, is it up where the gate is? Is that where you're speaking about?
It would be the area between the gate and the back of the building.
Okay. And just reshaping that whole section back there?
Reshaping it to drain into the arroyo, over whatever you call it, the ditch. So it never would come to the back of the building. Taking the dirt that was moved and adding it above a culvert placed in the ditch. Needs a big culvert because it needs to match the culvert the county put in, which is a 4-foot culvert. Those are expensive. So it needed a 4-foot culvert in there. Glenn Douglas agrees. He's an engineer who gave you guys a plan, not you in particular, but Sheila and Damien. He said that was the best solution, but they rejected.
All right. So we have a possible,
Do you happen to have that plan?
I don't actually have a drawing, but I have it in my head where it was gonna go on. I was never privy to a drawing. I never hired Glenn. I'm not sure he actually drew anything. I think he discussed it for a fairly reasonable price, under a few $100. He discussed it with, I don't even know exactly who, probably David.
So I would move that we hire an engineer to assess the situation in totality, to include Director Green's property, if that's acceptable to him, to give us a drawing that says this will solve your problem, an engineer that will stamp that.
Okay.
And then we can go get bids. That would be my,
So engineering plan first and then.
But I want to not mince any words. I would benefit from this.
okay,
So would the
We hear you.
station.
it's a
Somebody has
win-win,
a problem with me benefiting from it, tell me right now.
it's a win-win,
we
It's a
are,
win-win.
okay.
okay. Is there a
Um,
second for my motion?
I will second that motion. This is to, find an engineer to come up
To
with.
come up and that can give us a plan that,
What is the best way?
what is the best plan, including looking at that help.
Would you like to speak with the engineer who's been there before, or you want to hold with the engineer? He's one of the engineers who works the most in our fire district in Kenya.
I made a motion to have the chief get an engineer to go do that.
Second.
Many people should probably know him. His name's Len Douglas.
Len,
Len, he lives
Len.
in, he's a engineer, he used to work for the county many years ago, and he lives in Bolton.
okay. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Dave?
We're voting.
I know.
Okay.
You're
Okay,
thinking?
okay.
You're thinking? It's to get yeah, you heard the motion, to get an engine, start with an engineer. And
I'll go ahead.
is that a yes?
Go ahead and get your engineer.
Okay, thank you. It's unanimous. Very good. Very good. All right, slash collection, that's you again, Kyle? For discussion.
Okay, so previously we talked about trying to do a slash collection event here at the Grange. We have run into a little bit of a hiccup in that the partner that we were hoping to work with for Holloway is not able to assist us at this time. And so we got stopped with that. And then when we looked at redoing our scheduling, it's bumping into a bunch of stuff that's here at the Grange. We're looking at trying to do it again in September. And at this point, we're looking like we're going to be hitting a bunch of hurdles to try to get slash collection done. And in a timely manner and make it effective for the district. So the question that I have for the board is if you want us to continue to try to pursue getting slash collection done this year, or if it's something that we want to move into trying to do for next spring. And have it be continuous from then on.
Do you have any other avenues you can pursue
For slash collection,
slash collection before spring?
we could do a later fall slash collection before it would snow. Trying to do slash collection for the district in a July or August timeframe. Trying to put it together and then have it executed would probably be a pretty heavy lift with everything else that's going on right now. Especially because we lost, like I said, we lost the partners that we were counting on trying to help us do Holloway.
Right.
So that was the biggest issue that we had.
Did we lose them for reasons of cost or for scheduling or
No,
what?
it's actually about them being able to get Holloway like equipment up and down the canyon. So after they discussed that, they had said that they didn't think it was going to be possible for them to help us.
Okay, are there any other companies?
The only other option that we would have would be to hire, as a district, to hire a roll-off company, and then charge some kind of nominal fee to try to recapture some of the cost of doing the collection itself. That at this point is the most logical reason or logical way for us to be able to move biomass, even chipped biomass, away from the Grange itself as a collection area. So I said, we can continue to go down the path. I understand it. So it's something that I really was wanting to do this year. I think the district needs it. And I want it to be a continual restart that tradition of doing slash collection for the district.
Yeah.
It's just a question of if this is an appropriate time.
Maybe best to wait a year.
If we move it to starting it up in the spring, what changes? I mean,
It makes it, I mean, so the big thing for us and why I think it's important is that the slash collection that's offered by the county, the closest one that we have is in Coal Creek, which is still a relatively large or long drive, and they actually decreased their site. So I don't believe they're doing slash collection. And I was about to look this up at Tin Cup, which was the other closer site for slash collection. So just having a more local place for people to encourage people to do their homeowner mitigation and have a place for them to deposit their biomass was the goal.
right.
So it just postpones it a year, which is not optimal in my mind. But that's That's what's at stake, is postponing it a
Are
year.
you saying that the county's going to restart doing it here?
No.
Okay,
The county will not, I have asked,
Yeah.
and that is.
I can't get them. Even though Terry, we had a huge amount.
Per capita, we were number one in the, county.
Yeah.
That was through the conversations I had with the JCD, and the slash program, that was a very solid no.
Okay, so maybe wait a year.
Do you think that you'll be more successful in developing a program that's longer lasting
Yes.
if we wait a year?
I do. I
okay.
do, I just am not, was not the goal to try to. It's obviously what the goal was, try to get this done this year, just to start to rekindle the homeowner mitigation and biomass retrieval, and that in my mind is a disappointment. We've kind of had so many issues along the way so far that it would be better for us to have one more year of runway to make sure that we're successful creating something for the long run. I think that's a fair statement.
Okay.
Let's put it,
What
try
would be different about waiting though? Would you start this process now or would you?
We would be starting now, looking to try to, again, so we need biomass chipping partners, and trying to get hopefully donations, for really large equipment to be able to chip large amounts of biomass at one time, as well as another hauling partner, and going back to that initial partner who was gonna help us with removal and try to come down with a real plan of what they would potentially be able to. It's a partner for the county who helps them with slash. And so the hope was that we were gonna try to help, like, kind of back end integrate into the slash program, even though they weren't gonna man it and they weren't gonna be able to do the actual biomass chipping and mastication. They were gonna help us with the hallway, and that's when we said that's the largest logistical issue to be honest with you. This hallway.
As far as we couldn't just have the sheriff's escort them.
That might be a possibility.
Or even us as a department.
Yeah, I think at some point it's going for a conversation.
Sure. I would move that we advise and direct the chief to put off slash collection until next year, but make sure it happens.
if we can.
And we'll try to do it in April of next year would be the target, to try to get this done before April or May.
Do we need a motion for this?
The board's discretion.
Just give them
I
authorization.
don't think we have to have a motion.
Yeah, we'll just
Did we
direct
give
it.
you a directive to get the slash done this year? Okay, then we don't need a motion.
Thank you. Thank you for your efforts. All right, moving on, radio expenses is you, Dave. Radio expense?
All these radio expense, the way they was representative, I know they were free radios that were saved, but the expense and the price that was represented at a meeting is way out of line. These radios that we bought for a fraction of the cost at the time.
Used radios could be. Correct.
Yeah, Steve is gonna take over from here.
Oh,
I value truth, and it bothers me when things aren't said straight. And when they're out of line by as much as this one is, bothers me a lot. I've asked the chief and the board that the chief change his letter, his report in January that states the radios are worth $200,000. Chief wrote that in his letter. That was backed up by board member Nifagali Oguwari. He said they were worth up to 250, and although the audio recordings have been gone from the website for the last 2 weeks until today, they're back. I wasn't able to check, but I believe there was even a mention of $500,000. It was stated verbally, but nonetheless, in writing, it stated 200,000. 25 radio bodies, just the bodies, no chargers, no batteries, no microphones. These radios are available for $800 or $1,200 in that range on eBay.
on eBay, right.
But they're used radios from other fire departments or police departments. They're available on a regular basis. I've been checking for months. And I asked the chief, what's the purpose of exaggerating by tenfold? This is more like a $12,500 donation. And these radios come with chargers and microphones and batteries. And so I asked, why are they valued as per your report at 200,000?
You're asking me directly? So the radio, the verbal and what's written came off of what is the value of, from our vendor to buy that radio from our vendor as a new purchase.
These were
New.
Correct. They were donated to the district at no cost to the district. So we assigned them a value of what it would have cost us to get them if we would have gone to get a grant, or if we would have had to purchase them new. So in general, as a practice, I don't spend taxpayer money on eBay. So I would not have even considered eBay as a cost comparison for this. However, when we're looking at the cost of what was put in there, we used the new cost for that comparison, but we're not adding the value of the radios to our capital, to, the value of what is the fire district. It was a representation of what has been donated to the district.
So the point would be, may I?
Mr. Greenhouse.
I guess the point would be, if you had to apply for a grant for those radios, it would have to be new radios. Because grants
And that's
don't,
what all stated, because I believe it's quite misleading to state that these radios are $200,000.
okay, so what would,
I believe that needs to be corrected, and I wanted to bring this up. I don't like the record to reflect a 20-time or 18-time over value of the.
But this is for new radios, Steve. That value was for new radios, so your eBay radios have no bearing on that.
They're the same radio.
No.
And they come with batteries. charging.
46 of them? 46 of them?
Sure.
Uh-huh.
Of course
On
you do.
eBay, yeah, right,
But we buy them used, but this is
Yeah.
where I looked.
right.
Okay, if you don't want to believe what I'm showing you.
I believe the value that you're showing us.
eBay's
What
got-
I'm saying is, if you're gonna value, Steve, if you're gonna value radios, the chief pulled the numbers if he had to get a grant for new radios. You wouldn't get a grant for eBay radios. And that's what it would cost to get a grant for 46 new
Here's
radios.
my point. You're gonna explain your side.
Okay,
My point is, there's more like $12,000, not 200.
Are we,
For
have we
new.
concluded this discussion?
price new?
Representation.
Have we concluded this discussion?
yes,
I would like that to be corrected in the chief's report, or at least a notation.
but it's
that
not
the-
accurate,
discussion.
Steve.
could I propose
Yes.
compromise?
So one moment, a point of order, because this is a discussion. It's not listed as an action, so there's nothing that's gonna
Yeah.
come out of this.
I understand, I'm continuing the discussion, perhaps it would satisfy the situation if the wording were changed to a comparison to the cost of new radios.
Okay.
Just say new radios.
Well, I would also state that when Nipogali over
Point of order, you've had your 2 opportunities to speak already.
I would like to
You
make-
It's still up
cannot.
for discussion. You're
Point
not
of
taking
order,
it
discussion
further.
allows for 2 speeches by each member. That's why I'm just saying we're not gonna argue this back and forth. The discussion is over. You've already had your 2 times to speak. You may not continue. Point of order.
Please.
Point
Need
of
to
order.
rule on it.
Okay, let's, it's over. We're gonna change,
There was a purpose for the overvaluation, and Nipogali.
Point
made
of
it
order,
quite
he's continuing to repeat himself, and
There
the
is no-
discussion is over. He's already had his
Was
2
it-
opportunities to speak.
Let it be clear that Nipogali doesn't want.
all right, everybody stop talking, please. We're gonna move on. We're
Don't
gonna
want me
change.
to let you know the rest. I need another 30 seconds.
No.
Bookkeeping position, that's you again, Dave.
Bookkeeping position, yeah, the bookkeeping positions. Specifically, what is Mr. Creeks doing?
Are you asking?
I'm asking you, what is he doing?
Point of order, Mr. Green does not have the floor. He cannot he cannot put out a presentation. He does not have the floor.
This is for us. This,
That is-
I got the floor, this is for me.
Okay,
Same like that.
Okay, go ahead. What was the question? What does he do? Do you know what a bookkeeper
What is
does?
he doing? I know what a bookkeeper does. What is Mr. Creeks doing? You can't answer it, all right.
No, he's our bookkeeper, Dave.
That's the
Okay.
title.
Yes, bookkeeper.
Does he pay his bills,
Yes.
do monthly reports?
He does QuickBooks. He takes care of all the,
Do monthly financial reports?
yes, in conjunction with the treasurer and our accountant. And our accountant,
Who's the accountant?
Jen,
Jennifer,
You don't wanna get with-
was it? Jennifer Seaver. Yeah, Jennifer Seaver. Just say that, yeah, just say that.
what's the name?
Jennifer Seaver.
Okay.
Our accountant is Jennifer Seifert. She works for Seifert and Ben.
Thank you.
All right, so the bookkeeper with no affiliation with the fire department should be hired to avoid conflict of interest. The fireman on the department should not be handling our money.
There was no budgetary item for a bookkeeper.
Well, what's bookkeeper doing? You said,
No,
you said he's a bookkeeper.
He's a volunteer bookkeeper. He was trained. Do you remember? You remember, Steve? We had, when we,
My part.
go ahead. You want to?
Are you done with what you want to say?
We're now at part two,
Part
part
two.
of the rest of my report.
Okay.
Dave and I have been concerned that Mr. Creech is acting as a board member behind the scenes. Let me finish.
Okay.
We are concerned that how many responsibilities he has, I would call usurped, under the guidance of the chief. And we have asked you many times, and then you eventually sent this, or maybe
Yes,
Chris
no,
sent
I sent it. I sent it to
And this
Dave.
is what it says. He's not
Okay.
just a bookkeeper. By the way, it's called VFO, Volunteer Financial Officer. I'll just go through it quick from the bottom up. He does additional task duties, responsibilities may be assigned at the discretion of the chief. But he can do anything. He establishes internal processes related to invoices, collecting and managing of the district's fee assessment program. I can only take that to mean the upcoming impact fee assessment.
There's
program.
Has nothing to
there's
do
no
with the impact
impact
fees.
fees, none.
It's not clear. And that's something that's Elsa's.
It's the fees that are imposed for things like fire, if you want to have a fire permit.
I'm still talking.
Okay.
It's working with a grant coordinator or other, monitor and control all aspects of grant funding. This is our bookkeeper. He doesn't just do books.
Well,
He works with the chief and the board, he's the appointed financial committee and the accountant. He prepares annual budgets. And completes all required filings and other administrative tasks. Is it any wonder Dave and I feel like Chris Creech he's taken our positions and you guys have allowed this. So have you, chief. You have allowed this. Chris Creech got off the board, didn't really get off the board.
Point of
He
order,
was-
this is
he
not
was-
on the topic of the bookkeeper's job description.
okay.
That is not the bookkeeper's job description.
Point of order, we're still about the.
Hold on, point of order.
Point of order, what is
My
your point of order?
is that speaking about, Chris,
Hey.
Board business.
Just let
I
him.
call a point of order, I need to be able to explain what my point of order was.
Right.
My point of order is that talking specifically about firefighter and bookkeeper Chris Creech and whether or not he is a board member is immaterial to a conversation about the definition of the bookkeeper's position. Can I just pointing at what this discussion is about? Bookkeeper
he's-
position.
He's explaining his point of order.
So that's it. It's like the conversation is about the bookkeeper position. It is not about Chris Creech. It is not about whether or not Chris Creech is a board member. If that was what they wanted to discuss, that's what should have been put on the agenda.
We're discussing.
I'm ruling that you need to just discuss the bookkeeper position, Steve.
This is the bookkeeper position.
Right.
We're talking
Chris
about.
Creech is far more than the bookkeeper. He did the budget.
He assisted. He was,
Well, that's doing the budget.
He wrote the promotional for the chief. He's doing a lot. He's
as a
doing more than
as a
any
volunteer,
of the people on this board.
as a volunteer.
Well, he does, I protest that. I'm on the board and I was.
Well,
elected by the public,
it's noted.
so is Dave.
It's
And
noted,
This is not the way a board works.
noted. Okay, thank you. we're gonna go to
We
the
have
next, we're gonna go to the
completely
next.
David and I, our position, and we're unable, you don't share information with me.
Point of order, that is not germane to the bookkeeper
You
position.
have, it's related, since you don't send me emails.
We're going, I do send you emails, Steve.
If you don't,
I'm not required by law to send you emails.
Okay, that's a whole nother topic, guys. We're moving on to executive committee. That's you, Dave Primer, and your buddy there, Steve, okay?
I don't like that, innuendo in that.
Well, he's saying that you're
I
doing
am
it
his
together.
friend, but the way.
Well, I
he's
know.
fighting is not proper.
Oh, really? Okay.
Wait a minute.
Oh, go ahead, Dave.
Fair enough.
Oh, are you done? Are you now?
Yeah, executive committee is the next item.
All right, for those of you who are not aware of this, last two members of the board formed an executive committee to give themselves power to make all board decisions. Meredith, why did you vote to give two people the board power to make all the decisions? It's supposed to be five-person board elected by the taxpayers. This is loosely drastic to avoid transparency to the rest of the board and the public. Members of the community, can we have a show of hands who thinks this is unfair?
Well, you know what it is. Just
Two
what was the
hands,
question?
3 hands.
Just
Do you think this executive committee is unfair?
Okay,
Do you know what the executive committee is?
Well, would somebody, I
I
missed the last board meeting
Since
because
there
I
was,
was traveling. What is the executive committee
Since there
and
was
what
a-
is its purpose?
since
Okay,
there was a
Eric.
question directed to me as a part of that, may I answer?
Yes.
Okay. This is the reason I voted for it. And here is what the purpose of the special committee is. It is not to determine or enact the board's business. It says, the executive committee shall have the authority to communicate with the district's fire chief, agents, employees, volunteers, engineers, accountants, advisors, consultants, and attorneys concerning the official business of the district outside of regular and special board meetings. The executive committee shall not have the authority to give directions to the fire chief, agents, employees, volunteers, etc., except as specifically authorized by the affirmative majority vote of the board. Therefore, they do not usurp the priorities of the board, the prerogatives of the board.
let her finish.
As, okay. Let me finish reading this. Individual board members shall not have the authority to contact, communicate with, or give directions to the district's fire chief, agents, employees, volunteers, etc.
It's the executive committee.
Let me finish. Except as specifically authorized by the affirmative majority vote of the board. And also during regular and special board meetings, and shall be limited to discussion of the conduct of official business of the district. The executive committee shall cease to exist upon the irregular election of officers for the board. So every year, there will be no more executive committee unless another one is formed.
Well,
Can I ask questions?
Certainly.
Is the executive committee capable of spending money and authorizing expenditures?
Not without a
Majority of the board.
majority of the board, but voting in
But-
open session.
How many people are on the executive committee?
Two.
Niffy and Deb.
And
Correct.
so if the executive committee then needs to spend money, then it has to come before the board. It has to be published so that the constituents feel like they're understanding what's going on.
That's absolutely correct.
But there's a flaw.
It's,
Right? There's a flaw in this, Paul.
And what is
You
that?
might be missing it. I don't know yet.
What is
I
that?
had it. Here's how this is designed. This is designed that all discussion takes place in private by Deb and Nipogali. And then it's brought to the board to vote. And
No.
it keeps
No.
the public out of the loop for the time leading up to a vote.
No, that's
So
not
there's
true.
no ability
That's not
to
true.
inform, well, that's what will happen.
That's not
Whether you
true.
say true or
because-
not. And that keeps the community from knowing what's going on because there's no discussion taking place on a board in public. It's being done by Deb and Nifogali of Lori and whoever they talk with, on their own.
Are you done?
I'm ready too. In other words, it's, the chief runs the fire department. We don't have to deal with anything from the chief down. He comes to us for everything. This executive committee is just a bunch of bullshit.
Okay.
Way to hide things.
It's
The
unnecessary.
executive committee has to bring any financial matters or any executive actions that they wish to propose to the public ahead of time. It has to be posted on the web. It has to be, and if it's a financial matter, it actually is required to be presented in one meeting and then not voted on until the next meeting. So it is not true that this is a sidewinder way of getting around everything.
Why'd you have to form a committee?
In one meeting.
It was more, it was,
I don't.
there was
know.
an issue of communication and chain of command.
And our lawyer advised us to form an executive committee. That's a client privilege.
You don't want me to do that.
Okay.
You can't tell us what the issue
It's
is?
attorney-client privilege.
We have to talk to an attorney?
No, we can't talk about it because it is attorney-client privileged.
No, it's not.
Yes,
So
it
you
is.
made an executive committee, but nobody can know why you made the.
I clearly wrote the purpose of what it was. It's to,
So we as a public are not allowed to attend it?
it's not
It's not a
meetings.
meeting.
The-
It's just a
The
committee.
point of the committee is we discuss whatever we want in a board meeting, all 5 board members. Then, so specifically, we'd see how this would work. We have an agenda item where I would like you to authorize the executive committee to let us work directly with the chief to pursue grants. The way our bylaws work, individual board members cannot tell the chief to do anything. And we'd have to wait a month between every single time we wanted to do something. So if we want to pursue grants, and like, there was a grant that came up where I asked the chief if he had looked at this available grant and he applied for it.
There's certain.
But I would have to be able to, in order to like work with him and tell him, hey, here's the grants that I'm seeing, here's what we want to get done in between board meetings, I have to ask for permission to do that. So I'm asking for permission from the board to give the executive committee the ability to start pursuing grants with the chief, because I've got a number of them that just through work I've found line up really well with our district. So I'd like to be able to just go pursue that.
She's all double thought.
In my experience, those grants don't move that fast. You got plenty of time to apply for them if you get on them fast and early enough.
This entire committee came about because they hate me writing to the community. So I got a letter today from the attorney saying, I can't talk about anything. Right here, Leslie.
Point of order, you are breaking attorney-client privilege.
And that's not the agenda. Steve, It's
The
not the
district
agenda
is the
item.
Client.
we're
The
talking
district
about
is the
executive
client.
committee.
He is not the client. The district is the client. And when he breaks privilege that is based on the district's privilege, he's hurting you. I don't know how else to tell you that.
So my concern is this, that when I've attended other board meetings, first of all, I want to thank you all for being the board. I've been on.
You were on it
I've been
a
on
long
many
time, yeah,
times,
and we
and
appreciate that,
thankless
Paul.
job you ever had.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
and the chief, I mean, you're caught in the middle. So thank you all for doing this. But what I'm sitting on this side of the board, what I worry about is that there's an appearance of trying to avoid this conflict that is present at every meeting. And
Well, not every meeting.
that, well,
Right.
but what I worry about is your appearance, because the basis of our democracy is open discussion. And if the board members are 2 that usually vote this way, and Meredith, I don't know where your votes are, but I would guess that it's whatever it is. But what I'm really worried about is that the appearance or the interpretation from your constituents, the taxpayers, is at this point in time not favorable.
But if you read,
Now,
yeah.
What I've heard,
If-
because, and the reason I say that is that when you guys were discussing the fire mitigation thing, about 3 months ago, and a number of, constituents came up and said, you know, we're concerned about this. And then your opposing members said, well, I've been to the state of Colorado, it's Jefferson County. And well, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
it was interesting for us to hear both sides. And what I worry about is we're not gonna get that.
No,
That's-
you will get that.
you will
The
get that.
executive committee cannot
And
do
that's
anything
off
unless it's
topic.
You're
just,
already not getting it tonight. I've been shut down tonight.
can we take questions? Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Did someone have a
It's
question?
not
Yes,
public
go ahead.
comment, technically.
Okay, I'm Shirley. I've lived up here about 35 years. I have not been to a lot of your meetings. I need to come. What I see is several children here. You're all kids, and it's my way or the highway is what I see this happening. Well, yeah, but I'm saying that's what you were voted in for. Unfortunately, like you said, a very, very thankless job, but you're voting on to get along. And I know there's times that it's very, very hard to get along, but that's what you guys are voted in for. To do this out in the open, to say, you know what, we know this person's gonna say yes and this person's gonna say no, and we're gonna be here an hour with that person saying no or whatever. That's your job.
You know,
That's what we voted you guys in for. I don't know if any other board has ever had to hire an attorney in the past. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, they have.
With
They have.
everything that's going on with the different personalities. But you guys need to.
in a perfect world, that's perfect.
Well,
We do.
exactly, but the thing is that's what you asked when you asked to be voted in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Anybody else? We're moving on.
So
Um,
is that enough coverage of transparency? I want to give full recognition. Well,
This goes much deeper than this executive committee. This has been an ongoing effort for a year and a half, ever since I tried to revote ballot issue A.
That's not-
Okay,
Yeah, no, I want.
5, new business,
No.
Steve. Stu.
point of order.
It doesn't matter your point of order.
Yes,
I
it
have
does,
something to
Steve.
say,
We're
but
trying.
okay, then you have a great date tonight or something?
You asked,
Can I say?
may I explain my point of order?
Yes.
The
Please.
point of order is,
No, you're
the
not allowing me
topic
to.
is executive committee transparency, not ballot A.
It's not ballot A what I'm talking about.
That's what
It's-
you started
You
talking
have
about.
another policy that says
Okay.
nothing on any emails in the
Point
board
of
order
order, that's
revealed.
not on top of
Steve,
the-
That's not the difference. The different
I
issue.
don't want you to hear
We're going by the agenda.
it. So.
That's on 5.3.
Yeah.
I don't
Five-
hear it, Tom. What
but,
you're saying. I'm
Steve-
trying to say something, you won't allow it. You bang your hammer, you speak over me.
Because we're working on an agenda, Steve, you have to stay on the topic. We'll be here all
Your
night.
executive committee is
We'll
part
be
of
here
not
all-
only effort
all
to provide
night.
facts.
Okay,
5,
I hear you.
we're moving on to new business, please. 5.1, digital communication, TAK integration, and that's you again, Kyle.
Yes.
Discussion.
Yep, so this is a discussion point, and I actually have Assistant Chief Enright on Zoom here to speak about it as well. Chief Enright, do you want to jump on and turn on your audio and kind of explain what TAC is and the plans to move forward, how it's going to work, and then the ask?
Yeah, sure thing. How's my audio? Coming in good?
I think.
If they're coming in clear, I'm gonna see if I can turn the, make sure it's up
Okay.
on your computer as well.
I'll hold for just a moment then.
Okay, is that good?
Assistant Chief Enright, for those that don't know.
Okay, there you
Go
go.
ahead.
Good evening. Thank you all for taking the time today talking about really something new and all things considered fairly revolutionary that's going on in the fire service in Colorado. And that is the introduction and the addition of what is known as the Team Awareness Kit, or TAK program that is coming online, brought to you at no cost by Colorado Division of Fire Prevention and Controls, Center for Excellence of some long, complicated name that I can never get right in meetings. What this is a civilian application of a what was initially developed as an Air Force Special Forces tool to track personnel in real time on the ground as they are engaged in austere environments performing challenging and dangerous tasks. Interestingly enough, that mission set sounds a lot like what we do in the fire service in search and rescue responses, in wildland fires, and really across our entire district. So the Team Awareness Kit program, or the TAC program, has been around for a while. It's developed by the U.S. government, available at no cost. A server system where the state of Colorado is providing us a means to communicate between other agencies is again being provided to us at no cost. The question for us is implementation. Through some testing that we've already begun as an agency with our members using this program on their personal devices, we've been very successful in successfully using the program to track personnel. As we ran an operation yesterday with Flight for Life, we were able to use aircraft tracking features to observe their approach. While communicating directly with the pilot, we were able to confirm landing zone locations and streamline landing zone communication response. We're able to pull real-time situational awareness from state intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance aircraft. We're able to collect really a broad synthesis of data packages that are available and bring those in to basically just your regular phone using a program that is developed and a system that is maintained at no cost to any of us directly. What we are proposing, and I think what is the next step for advancement, is looking at getting agency-specific tablets and implementing a FirstNet deployment with our department. What this looks like is getting an Android tablet, probably a Galaxy Tab Active, whichever the latest version is, ruggedized, mil-spec, waterproof, drop-proof, dust-proof. I don't want to say firefighter-proof, but probably pretty close. Getting ruggedized tablets connected to the FirstNet network that would be usable as a cellular backhaul and communication with our dispatching center, and be really that advanced link that allows us that real-time communication both between personnel in the field and the dispatching center in the back office, and to perform all those communications in real time. FirstNet, as a cellular provider, is an arm of AT&T, only as AT&T won the bid from the federal government. It is a federally mandated program that exists to provide advanced cellular coverage for first responders and other public safety professionals nationwide. It's provided at an exceptionally low cost. FirstNet is the cheapest way for most public safety agencies, if not all, to obtain cellular service for devices. It is a way for our firefighters to obtain cheap cell service as well, thinking like a quarter of what you would pay with another provider. And additionally, a part of the FirstNet system, and what is its key advantage, is the band 14, really a completely independent cell band that is available for FirstNet devices and FirstNet devices only. Looking at coverage maps, I went through a coverage analysis today on FirstNet's website. Unfortunately, it's proprietary information that isn't able to be shared in a lot of detail. Our entire district is covered with band 14 public safety priority cellular data coverage. We theoretically have access to implement this within our district at any point, really with a greater reliability of cell network than any other cell phone system that's available to us. Additionally, through FirstNet, there's the capability to install boosters at our stations, at any other location where we have access to data connection. We have ability to implement and densify the network and make it more reliable. And FirstNet is designed to be for this emergency response capability. Should we have a major incident, we can order a FirstNet cell on wheels. So they bring a cell tower with a satellite backhaul to wherever we want it with relatively no notice at no cost to us as an agency. It's a huge set of capabilities available to us as we get integrated with this program. TAC is the user interface. This is how we, the firefighters and our officers, and really our dispatching center as well, are able to communicate in real time, watch our personnel in the field, and perform this kind of real-time situational awareness. That coupled with probably the most reliable and best cell network for first responders and specifically agency devices, we really have the potential to revolutionize how we digitally communicate, maintain real-time awareness, and are able to pull information together when time is of the essence. We really don't have the time to mess around with trying to call and ask, like, how far away are you? I'm 3,000 yards at bearing this. Rather just look at the map and go, I see you there. Excellent. And save the radio traffic and keep that available for our personnel. So that's a high-level overview of the TAC program, TAK program, as well as what a FirstNet implementation and deployment would look like. Conceptually, the deployment is one tablet device per station. I think we were planning 6 or 9 of them, one per station and then one per officer as well. There's some room to do other options. So, for example, our Google Voice connections that both Chief Benson and I have, we can actually just get second SIM cards to put on our existing phones and be able to just mitigate all that Google Voice need and integrate it into that network as well as a single step. So really a lot of potential and a lot of opportunity for us as an agency. And with that, I'll hand the mic back to Chief Benson.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Henry.
Could I ask for a clarification?
Yes.
Chris,
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
just so there, okay, every firefighter would not have a tablet, but how does you can integrate your personal phone to the tablet? What, I mean,
So-
how does, yeah.
By putting tablets in the individual apparatuses, that gives us the capability to do a mobile hotspot via Wi-Fi out of each apparatus. So
Okay.
tablet in the apparatus, you switch on mobile hotspot, everyone within a reasonable proximity to that device then has a Wi-Fi connection back to the network.
Got it.
Additionally, we have a few firefighters that are already on FirstNet. Because as a firefighter, you can just obtain coverage through FirstNet. You just validate your credentials. We have a few folks that have it. They've had good success with it. As they federate with us in the network, it allows some more advanced connectivity and some other communication tools that show up.
So I think just to make sure that we all kind of understand what essentially TAC is, this incredible system that is built by the military that is now being used in Colorado. As of today, it went live with Jefferson County Communication System. It allows us not only to obtain all kinds of data like live feeds from the multi-mission aircraft if we have a wildland fire like we did last year in the Bear fire, but it also allows us to be able to have, especially as an incident commander, like a live view of where all of the, let's say we have a bunch of helicopters or fixed wing air resources in the air, where they all are, and our ground units. But not only that, we can also use it as a communications tool to go back and forth between us and dispatch. And there's a bunch of things that are being built into it. And essentially what's going to happen in the next 12 months is that this is going to be our main communications tool between us and all of our other entities that we work with. Including ourselves, the reality of us being able to communicate or have advanced situational awareness between firefighters, between officers or incident command posts and where our teams are is very important as we move forward. Jefferson County Communication Center is very enthusiastic about the opportunity for this moving forward, essentially taking over what we now call the computer-aided dispatch system, or portions of it, at least the communications portions between themselves and the field, in mapping. The other thing that we're looking at is that as we implement ESO, which is our medical documentation system, that's also something that benefits from a FirstNet connection, where we can, when we go into someone's house as a first driving medical unit, we can start our documentation immediately. And then when we have that communication through FirstNet, we can actually send our initial documentation with the ambulance. We literally have a code that pops up on 2 different tablets between us and the ambulance. We type in the 2 codes on the 2 tablets, and then our information that we've already obtained from that patient gets sent to the ambulance. And then it creates this chain of care all the way through the hospital, through surgery, through whatever happens. And our firefighters are able to have this continual connection of care through what's happened. And we're all able to see what happens all the way through the hospital's care, and then they're also able to see everything that we've done. So there's twofold. Essentially, this program that we're looking at doing is implementing these 9 tablets, to really enhance what we do operationally with a relatively minimal piece of technology. So the reason that we brought this to the district and to the board is that and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but at this point, FirstNet is offering to comp the hardware. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct. The specific quote details I haven't been able to track down immediately. But fundamentally, it's similar to a promotional price on cell phones, tablets, et cetera, where we obtain the devices at very low cost. And then again, service remains at a fairly low cost for the life of the program.
Okay, so we would be obtaining the hardware at very, very little to no cost to the district. And then, but we would be moving on to a plan with FirstNet moving forward, which is a contract. And as we move forward with the district, I feel like that, or with the board, even though this is underneath my spending authority, even on an annual basis, that's something that I would want the board to have any questions that answered about, and make sure that we have an opinion on the board before we move forward with a project like this, which is quite a significant move forward for the fire district. So that's why we brought it to you.
Where is the cost?
Where is the cost?
Sounds like there's a cost buried in there somewhere.
So it's an annual subscription. It's an annual service subscription.
What is that?
Pull it up. Chris, do you have it right there?
Give me one moment. I'll pull the annual from our contact.
And the benefits to this is predominantly the GPS type of a locating service?
It's GPS and communications. So back.
Right. Well, I've heard all about the 800 megahertz radios and the repeaters we've gotten put in, and that there's no area in our district that is not covered.
With 800 megahertz?
Yeah. You've said that to me.
Yes.
I was a little bit surprised because 800 is not the best coverage in the mountains.
It does have coverage, especially in the big trucks with the handhelds. There's a couple spots where you have to move a little bit to get good reception on 800, but.
And knowing a little about automatic identification service and GPS linked in radios, they're not very expensive. Garmin runs them and other companies that radios transmit your GPS location.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you can own them, and there is no, I don't think the service, I'd like to hear what the subscription cost is to this.
So
And
the subscription is
Cost of there.
go ahead, Chris.
yeah, the subscription price that's quoted, depending on the specifics, is $36 a month.
Per
Unit?
per.
$36 a month per device for unlimited data, unthrottled priority network access. I'll note the cost of a Garmin Rhino. So the specific device that you're mentioning that is using a VHF radio link between handheld GPS devices. Again, not a cell phone, standalone devices those cost $661 a piece, according to a quick search. What we're looking at is we'd get the tablets for free.
Actually, refer to
That
the
are
Rhino.
$800 tablets. We'd get them for free. And then we'd pay to maintain a data link connection for the duration of the operation.
And they're multi-use, right? So it's for TAC and for ESO. And just to make sure, Steve, that we're transparent, so it's not just a GPS tracking, because I think in your mind, like you're thinking about just a map and tracking people. This is so it's much more advanced. It's literally, like I said, it's a communications plug-in to any data set that has to do with emergency response all at once through JEFCON.
And you provide the ones, I looked it up, so I get it. but
Yeah.
You can't explain.
It's so hard to
You
explain.
have to see it to understand what.
Can we see more about this, a breakdown and maybe some links or something to the equipment that I could look at it? So I could get a feel, I've heard the subscription price, I've heard the low cost to obtain the units or the devices. But it'd be nice to see this on a bit of a summary, a couple pages before we
Yeah.
commit.
The website is easy. It's cotak.gov.
Something you can furnish the board, Chris? By
Sure.
the way, I know.
There's
you just
hours
did
of
that.
videos
And
of
email.
responders in municipal, wildland, and across the spectrum, public safety agencies that have had great success with this. And Colorado is one of the national leaders with implementing this platform, and with ongoing funding from the state of Colorado as well as the U.S. Forest Service. We are on the cutting edge of what has only been in the past military grade communication and situational awareness capabilities. Military grade in a positive way.
I just remain cost conscious. I've been on this board 3 terms. I've seen improvements continuously, always the latest and greatest. And this is another latest and greatest. It may very well be the latest and greatest, but I wouldn't mind knowing more.
I just sent
Besides just a discussion of the speaker.
sent you the website.
I'm not sure that would be enough.
So
They've analyzed it more than.
I'm interested in also checking out the website and exploring it. I guess I would suggest that I would make a motion that we postpone authorizing it.
This is just discussion.
Okay, fine. Then I guess I'd like to look at it
Yeah.
as well.
We all would.
So I understand that the tablets are coming at a really reduced cost / free right now.
Yes.
One of my concerns is what happens when those are obsolete, like in 2 or 3 years? Do we have to go buy $8,000 worth of tablets?
Chris, is there any stipulation in this contract?
Is the way it's written right now, or the quote that's written right now, yeah, as you are pointing out accurately, it is indeed a welcome aboard price. That said, it's a cell provider. The trade-in programs, the various credit programs do exist, and the prices that are quoted, and then they apply discounts to later, are $75 a device. That's the subsidized price of these devices, and that would be what we would cost without the new customer credit.
Okay, so buying these new through the program will only be would be under $1,000.
Affirmative.
Okay. And then it's what, $360 a month?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is the welcome price good for a month or 2 while we cogitate?
I'm sure it is. I've got the classic, hey, how's the quote look email from our representative from FirstNet. It's easy enough that we can delay as appropriate. There is the question, of course, would you like slides? Would you prefer written documents? I do better with slides most of the time, but whatever works.
But I thought you said it was all online. Is that right?
To present to you folks.
Oh, okay.
So we'll make sure it's on the agenda for next month
Yes, anything as an action item.
or an action item.
Yeah, and then, Chris, is there any way, the one thing that I think that would be my concern is the coverage. Is there a way for us to test it somehow?
I want to piggyback on that because I'm oddly familiar with FirstNet as well. And all of us have cell phone service at our house, right? It says on the map that you have cell phone service at your house. So it's just one of those things where they can say all day that we have coverage, but.
There is one caveat, Chris, to that, and if they say that they have coverage and we have an issue because it's a federal mandated service, can you explain that?
That's right. There are provisions in the way that the FirstNet program is built where we can either install the microcells ourselves. So we just request boosters and microcells, and we can densify the network ourselves. Additionally, if their map is substantially inaccurate, which is entirely possible, I work with maps at work and that happens. There are ways we can work with FirstNet to see about densifying the network from their perspective. Looking at cell site and tower locations, they're a little more frequent than you'd expect. There's a few in Golden and there's a few in the high country that are doing a pretty decent job from what it looks like on the coverage map. Unfortunately, I cannot share the coverage map. That is marked as confidential and there's like big watermark on it and everything.
So again, I mean, a lot of this coverage, it's topography. So, you know, we all live up here, the hills go up and down. I can get a call at the top of my driveway, forget it at the bottom, right? So I don't know if there's a test. And then if we talk about densifying the network, this is private land. So where are we gonna put boosters?
So I think we're talking about a mobile booster solution, like a booster that would be based in the vehicle.
In a vehicle?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll note as well, any mobile booster option, again, through the FirstNet Band 14 public safety access, our power limit is 1.25 watts instead of the 1/4 watt limit that exists for every other commercial off-the-shelf device. So we can actually, we can kind of cook the air a little bit with some extra boosters on devices if we really, if that was the right choice to make, that is a choice we can make.
Okay.
So I think, Chris, when we're doing this, maybe you and I can talk offline, but I think we should probably see if maybe FirstNet's able to send us a device to maybe trial and see how it would work within our cell coverage area.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
See?
I think you guys wanna actually make sure it works, right? Like, if you're gonna get the benefit, let's make sure it actually works.
Okay.
Anything else?
Is there any questions from the public on this? It's kind of an interesting and complex.
Anytime you do something like that, isn't it gonna be a continual maintenance fee?
Correct.
You're gonna have to have something in the budget that's gonna be set for that now. from
Correct.
here on out.
It's a subscription fee, just like a cell phone subscription fee, so a monthly. That's why it came. So even though it's underneath the spending authority for myself as the chief to be able to sign on even for a year, because it is a contract that would extend beyond that, that's why we brought it to the board for that.
Well, I'm not questioning as to whether you're, you're any of that. I'm just saying that when you have something like this, you're gonna have something that you're gonna have to be putting into the budget.
Correct.
For continuous
Yep.
maintenance.
That's correct.
Like your tablets, if they drop them, break them, are these something that is it like a cell phone? Is this, you take it in, it's insured, they fix it? I mean, those costs, I think, would have to be kind of thought about. That's all. That's what I'm.
Sure, that's a great point. Yeah,
Anytime you do anything like that.
especially on the hardware side. Yeah. True.
So there's discretionary funding, and then we always build the budget to be super conservative and have a lot of cushion in it. So when building the next year's budget, if we were to go down this road, we want to make sure we added this to the communications line item. And we've been able to get some savings on communications by like when we switched to Starlink. We split it here with the Grange, which are not, well, but we found ways to save money. And we come in under budget for the last 2 years that I've been on.
Most of our all concerned is, it appears to be, it just seems like everything's getting money thrown at it. It's not necessarily that we have to buy the best and, best that's out there. We have to buy what works for us for what we can afford.
Yes.
And not increase all of our costs where we're just living to support everybody else. We don't want to do.
Certainly.
So that's why I'm bringing it up. It's like one of those things you gotta kind of look back and say, wait a minute, the system we have is actually functional. If we do have a catastrophic issue, we call in other people that do have the system we need to make it happen, to boost that issue. Like when we do with the fires, it depends on who we call in, who calls the water support as to who pays for it, right? If we call it in, we pay for it. If SO calls it in, they pay for it. Or depending on how it's allocated, that's how that, where that cost comes from. And that's the important part about chief needs to know is to, you don't want to make those phone calls right away and say, oops, wait a minute, I just ate that cost when I didn't need to.
For me, the biggest thing is like the functionality. Like, so I keep on coming back to, will this actually work for us? And I encourage you to go look at the website because it's leaps and bounds. It's a moonshot taken.
Yeah, I'm aware of the system.
Okay. Yeah.
And you're right, it is. There's very, very little dead spots with that system, and the communication goes directly to whoever you want it to within the medical or fire or police.
This is a website on the, internet, on our.
COTAK.gov. COTAK.gov.
And if
All right.
I may,
All
just to
right.
note,
What? Yeah, well,
Yeah, we can put it in the minutes.
What, Chris?
yeah.
if I may just note, COTAC.gov is the website for the mapping, situational awareness, firefighter tracking, safety mapping, intelligence platform. FirstNet is the provider for the data connection and the data link. So
Okay.
2 key points. COTAC is our the mapping backend, and then FirstNet, just spelled as it sounds, is the data provider that is best considered. Notably, COTAC is the genuine special forces software that has been made available to us.
And Kotak is free. Just so,
Correct.
yeah, we don't pay for that.
Okay.
It's actually, we're all paying for it.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Chris, very much.
Thank you.
5.2 is authorization of executive committee to communicate with chief and other personnel on grants. And transparency.
That's.
No.
I'm sorry,
We already did that.
we did that. On grants, this is for discussion and action, and Niffy, it's your item.
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, out of turn in the meeting, there's a number of grants that are coming up. One that I'm particularly tied into is a grant called the Public Buildings Electrification Grant. I have applied for that with 2 of my personal clients, but it's up to $1 million to upgrade your facilities, including electrical panels, going to heat pumps, doing battery storage, doing solar, and you have to do a 25% match. So this is an incredibly generous grant that's available. We're not going to need $1 million worth of equipment upgrades, but we can apply for up to $1 million. You only have to match 25%. The window for it opens and closes really fast. And they don't tell me when it opens, so I have to constantly look at it. And then it's a 1-month application window. Unfortunately, I've been in contact with the program administrator for this program, and so she's kept me kind of in the loop. But I want to be we can't wait in between board meetings for when that opens because we'll miss it. So that's one of those ones where in particular this grant that I wanted to be able to go after as we continue to assess, doing our electrification and upgrading our facilities. So asking for authorization to be able to work with the chief on that. Not just that grant, because others will come up as well, but this is the reason behind this one in particular. So I have made a motion to give the executive committee authorization for that.
And I'll second that.
We have a discussion about this?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So this is to put solar on the stations.
The motion that I have made is to authorize the executive committee to work with the chief to pursue grants. That is what the discussion
You
is
were
about.
discussing electrification.
And he was good. That was an example.
That was one grant that he's looking at. This is for other grants. Got a motion on the floor in a second. I'll call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Nay.
Nay.
Next one is problems with the secretary. Dave, this is you.
Do what?
Problems with the secretary. It's your item on the agenda.
All right, yeah, let's see, the recorded minutes on the website, why aren't they on there?
They are on there.
They've only been put back today.
They weren't on.
May I explain?
Yes, please.
So I'm the secretary. I will answer the question. I don't know why they disappeared. I'm not responsible for putting stuff up there. Somehow they went away. However, it was there if you looked at the front page of the Golden Gate Fire District, and it says there, says something like all meeting recordings on YouTube under Golden Gate Fire Protection District. And that's on the front page of the website. So when I was made aware by you that they had suddenly disappeared from the individual meeting things underneath the minutes and financial transparency page, I asked Drew Kenyon, who is the volunteer firefighter who's now posting things to the web under, minutes and agendas and so forth, to put a pointer under each month stating, go to the YouTube recording for this and all previous meetings
Were
of
the
this.
YouTube recordings ever removed?
Pardon me?
The YouTube recordings were never removed. They were.
They were always there.
The notice was in a different place.
Yeah.
They were hidden, huh?
Well,
Well, they were in a
they were
different place.
just in a place you weren't used to looking.
So
Yeah.
who puts these on?
So now they're back.
You just said who puts them on the.
So now they're back. Well, I make a request to Drew Kenyon to post the agenda when it's ready and to post the minutes when it's ready. And actually, I guess I didn't realize that it was my also responsibility to tell her to post the recording to that because it was on the front page. And so,
They're also in the agenda and the minutes itself.
that's true.
It also says this is where you find the recording.
It is listed on the minutes of every meeting minute back to January or back to February.
Well, I certainly couldn't find them.
I don't know how to Google Golden Gate Fire. Not what I said.
They're right at the top of the minutes page on the left.
Well, they weren't there. They were.
Did you go to
I
YouTube?
found them.
Did you go to YouTube?
Whatever I went to, it wasn't there. Okay,
They're there.
Our website.
yeah.
They're there.
Okay. Can we, are we done there?
No, there's more.
Oh,
I'm sure.
there's more, but wait, there's more?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, for the people who are with hearing impaired, there needs to be a complete and accurate minutes posted on the website. That's an honest written minutes in a timely manner. This does not happen. Regular minutes are not easily to understand. And they're not on the website anyway, so I would like to call a vote to excuse Meredith from the secretary position.
Point of order, this is a discussion. You cannot put a motion in a discussion. Secondly, this, when we're talking about the changes to the minutes and that process, that's not part of this discussion. I
Yeah.
specifically.
So you're refusing to appeal to the hearing impaired?
Dave,
No,
Dave,
I got a disability.
you can pick up the meeting on YouTube and
I can't hear them on these things.
not on.
They're not
on your-
understanding.
On your phone or on your computer.
I don't listen to that very good either. It's hard to
Turn up
understand.
the volume.
for 30 years.
I'm
they
so
were
glad
right.
you're not my.
40 years.
Point of order, this is supposed to be a discussion of
Okay.
the problems with the secretary,
Okay.
secretary.
Well, that,
Or is there more?
Secretary's responsible for minutes, Niffy. Point of order.
Oh,
the secretary follows the rules that were established by a previous board.
yeah, those roles are really suck.
I'm sorry.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Would it be okay just to put some discussion points in the minutes? Wouldn't that be okay?
We have a
For people
minute.
That don't listen to it or can't listen to it, it wouldn't take that much just to put the basic discussion points in the meetings. So
May-
people knew what happened.
May I answer that for you? Because I came up with that minutes policy. The problem with what you're asking for is that it becomes completely editorialized. It
No,
becomes
it does not have to.
It,
No, it does not.
ma'am, may I finish?
You can just put.
I am really Janice. The reason why we did that was we had 11 pages of minutes and we had board members going back and forth saying, well, that's not what they said. That's what, and it's always editorialized and it's always
It was
become.
a 4-hour
Please
meeting that
stop
night.
interrupting me.
No, point of order, point of order, point of order. That was a 4-hour meeting, that 11 pages. It's not normally that
Please
way.
stop interrupting me. So it becomes, to me, the way that we get to the truth and not what someone's opinion about what the discussion was, is to, we haven't been able to agree on that.
All
Please,
five board
please.
members get to look at the
Please
minutes and
stop.
put
He's
their input in.
talking, Steve.
Please
When I'm talking, he interrupts me.
Not now.
Well, the way I see it,
So
you
we're
went from
saying,
one
please,
extreme to the other, so we
stop
need to
and-
bring it into a half medium.
Buddy, stop talking, please.
Can I just finish with what I was trying to say?
Yeah.
And then maybe I could finish too.
You asked a question and I asked if you wanted me to answer it.
And then
So I'm trying to answer it for you.
Okay, answer it.
All I'm saying is we came up with this policy so that it is very clear. It's not who says what, and then you can't argue about it. It's very simply cut and dry. This is the motion. This is who voted on it. This is who did it. At the same time, I wanted to have verbose recordings that, so you can't argue with the recording, and there's also AI generated subtitles and closed captioning on those recordings. So if it's difficult to understand what you're hearing, there is AI closed captioning that's generated. It makes it, to me, that was the most fair, is to say, decide for yourself, not what, you know, a couple people want to write and say things say. And
Yeah,
that was my
why don't you finish? And I'd like
That's
to.
not what we're talking about. That's good, all that stuff that you do, that's good, but people like Dave can't hear, they can't do it that way. So, I took 2 pages of notes tonight. It's 2 pages. It's
Well, we're not finished either.
It's not even.
No, I would like to interject a little bit
It's
there.
just Basic discussion points that any, couldn't we just compromise a little?
Thank you.
That maybe we could just add a little to the minutes so that people would know what happened?
Okay.
Contrary to what Nippy says, the tape recorder microphone does not pick up what's spoken in the back of the room. Also, all minutes were verified against the recordings by all 5 board members for since 1987 until this last year. There was never an issue until certain board members didn't want what they said to be easily identified. That's when the issue came about.
Mara, do you want to say?
Yes, I have
else?
something to say. So when I agreed to accept the position of secretary, I too thought it would be fair to put in bullet points of what was discussed. And I did that. And I would send out a draft. And what I would get back is, well, you left this part out. Well, you left that part out. If you include what he said, then you have to include what this other person said. And I'm not naming names, but it became very difficult. I would have had to produce 5 different versions of the minutes. And it got difficult. And so I decided to revert back to the policy that had been enacted by the previous board. That is why it is the way it is.
And the Robert's rules.
And yeah, I mean, minutes can take many different forms, but the very limited form that is stated in Robert's Rules of Orders is the minimum that you have to include is what we include. This way, there's no, he said, she said, no, I didn't say that.
The recorder is a proof of what people say.
Well, sure, but
Nobody's no he said, she said, it's on the recorder. It's on that recorder right there. It's on that recorder. Somebody says, hey, somebody said this and it's not on the recorder, then it didn't happen. It's not true.
They can listen to the recording.
But the recordings are hard to listen to. There's hours.
We'll work on that.
Nobody listens,
We'll work
very
on
few
that.
people listen to recordings. They read the minutes.
I listen to them
You're
so
on.
that I can produce the minutes.
That's how.
So one thing I will add is that a new thing I've added to the minutes is for any particular topic that is at all contentious or requires extensive discussion, I've been adding exactly the minutes that the runtime basically to go to that recording, and you can go, you don't have to listen to all the blah, 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 blah for 20 minutes. You go to that place, you listen to that part, and then you know exactly what was said. I'm trying to help everybody as much as possible, so you don't have to listen to 2 hours if you don't want to.
That's not how the minutes worked. They didn't work that way before.
Dave, did you?
That's
have
why,
more?
well, I just started
More?
doing it.
Nope, that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. 5.4 is lawyer's fees, and who brought that?
I did.
Okay,
Okay, there's obviously been a lawyer hired to go after me, because I've got numerous letters from them saying I'm not allowed to talk to the public. But there's also a 7-page document here written in defense of Kyle's
Point of order, that is a.
Kyle's conflict of interest.
Document.
that's just,
That is a privileged
Why is
document.
it privileged? Why don't the
Because the
people in this room get to
attorney
know
has
about
said
this?
it is privileged.
The
If
people in
you
this
would
room
like
don't get to know.
If
Okay.
you would like to, like, put a motion out there
No.
to unseal the privilege that we have.
I'll put a
we're
motion
welcome
that
to do
you don't want people to know what's going on.
But
Okay, I'm done.
okay.
You don't want people to know what's going on. How much did the lawyer cost?
I will tell you,
Total.
the lawyer to the April invoice was $6,567.
6,000.
6,000.
Yeah, we could save a lot of lives with that.
That's privilege. We can vote to break the privilege. We can do that.
Okay. Are we ready to move to?
Public comment. So public comment, each community member can raise their hand and will have 3 minutes to state their opinion or ask a question, limited to 1 time. No rebuttals from any board member are allowed on opinions or comments. Each community member can raise their hand, and when called upon, will be allowed to ask 1 clarifying question, limited to 1 time. The president will answer that question or direct it to a different board member, or you can direct your question directly to the board member, limited to 1 minute.
Okay, any public comment?
Public comment.
Yeah, I have a public comment.
Okay.
I just want to address the no transparency of the board and the chief and that keeps coming across, and the lovely emails that you get ranting. How much transparency can you have? This is 20 pages I printed off today, that everything I know that is going on. There's nothing hidden.
Yeah.
The chief,
There's
I'm
no, point of order, there's no rebuttal from the board.
done evidently, because nobody can say anything, so.
The board is not allowed to interrupt you.
He's
Yeah,
not
I know
going-
that, but that doesn't matter. does it? I lost my train of thought. Transparency. I come to all these board meetings, and I have come to these board meetings for years, from the past boards to the present boards. And to be honest, who knew what was going on in the last boards? The chief's reports were, we might have had 2 people show up, move on. We're very detailed on Kyle's reports here. Everybody should know what's going on. I don't understand why it is always, there's no transparency. How much transparency do you people need? I mean, does nobody go to the website and print their 20 pages of information off? Everybody just comes and cries? I'm talking. So anyway, that's all I have to say.
Anyone else?
Yeah. I have links to a webpage and rules for the home wildfire hardening grants. So there's quite a few links here to grants, if anybody's interested.
Excellent.
And also back to what Shirley was saying, could we get a mediator to help this board? Sit down, resolve some issues so that y'all can get along. Mediation is something that really helps.
Sir?
Along with what she just said, he just sat there 5 minutes ago and explained everything that could happen in the last 5 minutes. Unfortunately, you guys can't understand the rules of what's written. We didn't make them up, they're on there, okay?
If you can't rebuttal, you can't talk, you keep your mouth shut, you listen to it, you may not like it. But you keep your mouth shut, you listen to it, and you deal with it. You know, sometimes we don't like the truth, sometimes we don't want to deal with that, but listen to it, think it through, and come up with a good answer. Sometimes it might not take today, you might have to wait till next month, that's the reason why you're doing this. You know, you gotta talk about it, if it has to be tabled, then wait till next time, because we can't get our emotions under control, then that's what it has to happen. To do this, we're never gonna get anywhere.
Well, I think it's been a relatively good board meeting myself. It's 8:45.
So no mediation? You guys think you're getting along fine and there's no issues?
There's always gonna be personalities on any board.
Does anybody think that a mediator could help these issues that don't ever get resolved because it's 2 against 3?
2 against 3.
That's called a democracy, folks.
Sorry.
It's called a democracy. We're a 5.
Point of order.
Sorry. Oh, I'm not supposed to respond. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Asking, nobody's open to mediation to help you guys get along? That's nothing you want to do?
They're trying to be cheaper than attorneys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's, I am fully open to a
Yeah,
mediator.
Bring us some some people.
Oh, we know a good one who works for the Jackson County Courts. Or we could get one of these gentlemen here that are here at these meetings that then know what is going on. We could do that too.
Yes, ma'am.
It does not help when we sit here and we see people roll their eyes when somebody goes to talk or interrupt when they're not supposed to be talking or making comments. You know, us as just people here to see what's going on and all that is very distracting, hearing comments, telling this. You can feel the tension in here between who likes who and who don't like who. I mean, I can tell you that as soon as we walked in. So you guys, we would ask you as a community, see if there's anything you guys can do to get along. Like she said, mediator or something, you know? You were elected in. People wanted you in here.
Thank you. Thank you. Patty? Patty?
I want to say thank you to the board and to the chief, because the amount of good things that have happened in the last year is amazing, absolutely amazing. And I ran in to Kyle a couple days ago and said, we feel safer. We know that we have support. We know that there are people in the community that may be alive today because of this fire department and its efficiency. And that's come from a board that's been able to support the fire department to grow. And we've followed this fire department for almost 30 years now, and never, ever has this fire department functioned as well as it is right now. So thank you.
Terry?
Yeah, does the SDA, I like the mediator thing, does the SDA offer a service, or can they come out and talk to us about how a board
Yeah.
should interact
Yes.
with the community?
Yes.
That would be a free thing,
Yes.
and it would be a neutral, it wouldn't be a resident up here or a, you know,
Outside.
yeah, somebody outside. I like that idea. I think that would help the community or the board quite a bit. And I want to reiterate, I was gonna say the same thing Patty said. I have seen leaps and bounds of improvements over the last year and a half with this district. The call volume, or I could go on. It's a huge list of improvements of where we are going. Just the fact that we have 24 firefighters, Kyle, is that what we, yeah, along with the support services, and I'm speaking as a resident, a year and a half ago, we were basically falling apart at the seams. And we have gone a long way, and want to thank the board for their service. Kyle, thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
I want to thank the board because this has been a very open and wonderful discussion that we've had. We interrupted your meeting and you allowed that, and I want to thank you for that. And I watched all you people listen to this and I saw sincerity in every one of you. And everybody's trying their best. And it's just, the life is generally controversial between a husband and wife. I don't get along with my wife all the time. And so I want to thank you for letting us talk now instead of the end.
Right, anybody else? Good comments?
Where you're doing it one amendment.
Oh,
Just-
online.
Oh, online.
That was in the chat.
Let's see. T. Miller had asked, can public commenters state the names since those online cannot only hear them, so they would go away public comments. And then there were some other comments on here, but I don't know if they really want to be, more wanting to be read in.
You can just ask them.
Yeah, I think there's that. Mr. Creech had asked, or talking about the recordings, they've not gone away, they're posted on the front page of the website. And then also, if you expect people to be able to read what happened, that they also should be able to watch what happened. The amendment that I wanted to make real quickly is regarding the Jeffco Slash program. They just made some updates to it. It looks like very, very recently. So there is Slash actually starting today was the first day of Slash collection for Jeffco. And that's at Blue Mountain Open Space in Coal Creek. So that's one of the closest pickups to Golden Gate. However, very good news actually for our district is that the Tin Cup Ridge Slash Guard, which the Slash Yard, which we said was not going to be open, that's actually transitioning into being a long-term slash collection site. And they were not anticipating having to have it open until the end of the year, if not next year. And they are now actually going to have it open every single Saturday and Sunday from June 1st until October 27th. So Tin Cup Bridge is off of Rooney Road in Golden. So it's down across and up Rooney Road. It's up by where the soccer fields are there. They do a soft collection site every weekend through October. So that's a great thing for us. That's it.
We have to reset.
Steve, you had a,
No, I'm done.
okay.
Can we get the list of links that you had so we can post them online? Is that okay? Thank you.
I have a few comments here.
Great. I appreciate it. Well, we need to, the next regular board. We need to read the next regular board meeting.
Oh, the next,
Yeah.
the next regular board meeting is June 27th, 7 p.m. right here. And I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Oh, I never.